So, how is a Chewbacca mask actually made? Should you go with silicone or EVA foam? How much time and money does it take, and which one is worth making? In this video, I'll answer all those questions, walk you through how both types of masks are made, and show you the mask I wear for Rebel Legion events. Stick around to the end and you'll know exactly which one might be right for you. Hi, I'm Brent. I'm a Rebel Legion approved Chewbacca costumer, and I built my entire costume from scratch. I've worn it to parades, conventions, and even charity events with kids. So I've spent many hours sweating in fur to figure out what works best for me, and I'll be sharing that with you today. I put together a visual guide that I'll be referencing throughout the video. You can find the links to that as well as all the tools and materials I used in the description. And if you want to jump around, I've added chapter markers so you can skip to the sections that you need. So here's the plan. First, I'll give you a quick comparison between silicone and EVA foam. Then I'll show you how each mask is built. We'll talk about how to style the masks, and finally, I'll give you my honest opinion on which one I actually wear. Let's start with the big picture. Silicone masks usually come as a kit with a fiberglass underskull and a silicone skin. The skin is flexible, lifelike, and stretches when your jaw moves. But they're heavy, harder to attach hair to, and expensive. Expect to spend several hundreds of dollars just on the kit alone, not the hair or the glue used to attach it. EVA foam masks are built from a pattern. The one I used I bought on Etsy, and it came with extensive videos on how to build it. Foam is cheap and light. You can get everything you need to make the base mask for under $150. It's much more comfortable for long troops, but you don't get the stretchy skin that silicone offers. As for time, both will take you dozens of hours. Think in the range of 48 to 60 hours, depending on how fast you work. So which one should you make? Let's walk through how each is built, and then I'll show you my pick. Silicone. With a silicone mask, you start by assembling the kit. This usually consists of attaching the silicone skin to the fiberglass underskull, setting up the lip mechanism, if it comes with one, and getting it to fit to your head securely. Next is the back flap. I made mine out of the same netting I used for my fursuit and latch hooked the hair onto it. You can see more of how to do that in my fursuit video. Then comes the most time-consuming part, adding the hair. For most of the mask, you glue the hair on. Silicone is tricky. Nothing sticks to silicone except silicone. The glue I used for the hair is epoxy from Smooth On. For areas where the hair is visible, like around the nose and mouth, that's where you'll do hair punching. That's when you pierce the silicone with a tool called a hair punch and insert the hair strands one by one. This process is slow, but it gives you natural looking transitions. You can make a hair punch for very cheap at home. Once the hair is on, it's haircut and style time. I recommend hiring a salon professional if you can. Chewy's layered cut isn't easy for beginners. Then style it, and you're done. EVA foam. EVA foam masks start with a pattern. The Etsy pattern I used also came with hours of video instruction, so I won't rehash every step, but here's the broad overview. You start off by tracing out the patterns onto foam, cutting it out, and gluing it all together. You 3D print, sand, and paint the teeth and nose. You add rubber bands to pull the mouth closed and fabric to cover the gaps. You paint the mouth and lips, then you attach the eye padding, 3D print some strap buckles, and attach the head straps to the mask. You add a flap to the mask to cover the back of your head. You note the length of the hair on the mask and then use them to cut and attach the hair to the mask. This takes a very long time, but gluing on the hair that is already cut to length saves you from needing to give it a haircut. Then you style the mask and you're done. Here are some of the things I did differently from the video instructions. Teeth. I coated mine in a 5-minute epoxy to get a glossy, wet look. Nose. Instead of 3D printing the included model, I sculpted mine from foam clay so it would blend better. Paint. I used an airbrush with acrylic paint on the lips and nose for a smooth finish. I forgot to airbrush a few areas around the nose, so I hand painted them. This wasn't a big deal because most of it was covered by hair. Then I sealed everything with 3 coats of matte clear varnish. It is crucial, otherwise your acrylic paint can wash off with water. Straps. I used leftover synthetic webbing for my head straps. I finished the ends by melting it with a lighter and used a soldering iron to make holes for the buckles. If you do this, wear a mask and ventilate properly. Melted plastic fumes are not good for your health. I tested hair punching, but decided against using it because it didn't hold well in the foam. Instead, I carefully hand placed and glued strands in transition areas like the mustache and around the nose. This took hours. Hours and hours and hours, but it was 100% worth it. On to styling. I found it super useful to have a mannequin head you can place the mask on, as well as a stand for it. I use a head that was padded out to my measurements and goes on this stand that clamps to the table. I style mine with a steamer. I prefer a steamer over a hairdryer because if you aren't careful with a hairdryer, you can melt your hair and damage the paint and foam. Because I use a steamer and thus water to style the mask, it underlies how important it was for me to seal the paint on the EVA foam with the varnish. Chewie has some curls, especially in the blonde hair. Like with the fursuit, I used a curling iron on its lowest heat setting and tested several different attachment sizes and timings before trying it on the mask. You don't want to end up with a bunch of melted hair on the mask you spent dozens of hours to make. Once the mask is styled, I lock it in with some hairspray. Let's look at a side-by-side comparison. Here's the real-world difference. Weight. My silicone mask is 4 pounds 3 ounces. My EVA foam mask is about a pound. Doesn't sound like much, but after 30 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours, your neck definitely feels every ounce. Movement. Silicone stretches realistically, EVA foam does not. Durability. Silicone is sturdy but harder to repair if it tears, and it's very common for it to tear along the mouth just like mine. As for EVA foam, it's easier to damage with heat, but it's otherwise easy to work with. So which one do I use? Every time I reach for my EVA foam mask. Comfort wins. When I'm trooping for an hour or more without a break, weight makes all the difference. The realism of silicone is great, but for me, it's not worth the extra pounds. That said, both can look great. If ultimate realism is your goal and you don't mind the cost or the weight, silicone may be right for you. If you value comfort or saving money, foam is the way to go. It really comes down to what works best for you. Which would you pick, EVA foam or silicone? Feel free to drop it in the comments, and if you've got questions, leave them below or hit me up on Instagram or Threads. Links are in the description. If this helped you out, consider hitting the like button and subscribing for more cosplay, sewing, and making content. And with that, from one maker to another, keep building, keep believing, and never tell me the odds.